Hey there, it's Bobi aka Paginator, and this is part 2 of our 31 books in 31 days challenge. Good news, it's Summerween. Here's my Summerween shirt. It's super cute. Ghosty reading a book out in the desert. Summerween actually started a few days ago. I haven't been able to film for a few days, actually, so we're going to do a little bit of recapping to start off with. Last time I checked in with you guys was Sunday morning. It is now Wednesday morning. So Sunday after I checked in with you guys, I went to church, and then I was busy just like getting things ready for my parents to come home from their trip. I cooked them a meal so they'd have something to eat when they got home. They've been flying like all day. And then my sister and brother-in-law and nephews came over to visit for a little while. And then I made my parents go to bed. They were so tired. And then Monday I packed up and headed back home. And immediately just something hit me. I think partly it was just being tired, and partly it was a little bit of depression because I had been so close to my family for a little over 2 weeks, like 20 minutes away from my nieces and nephews. I could go see them anytime I wanted. And then all of a sudden I'm like all the way back home or away from all of my family, and it just kind of hit me. So on Monday for the rest of the day, I did read, but I didn't do a whole lot else. And then Tuesday, I woke up with a massive, massive tension headache. I was on meds for most of the day, trying to keep that under control and stuff. So again, I did read. I could physically read. I couldn't read on a screen, but I could physically read. So let's talk about some of the things I've read. I'm feeling much better today and have made some plans to make myself get out of the house because it's not good for my mental health or my physical health, to be honest, to just like sit and read all the time. So here we go. Recap. I finished listening to Persuasion. I've read it I don't know how many times. It's my favorite book of all time. Of course, it's 5 stars. It's always going to be 5 stars. If you have never read Persuasion or any Jane Austen, I highly recommend that you do it. This particular one is about Anne Elliot and Captain Frederick Wentworth, who were in love very young, and he proposed. She said no because she was persuaded by a close family friend to just say no. The family friend thought he wasn't good enough for her. And some years have gone by. He's been in the Navy and become this wealthy captain, and she has been in love with him this whole time. But he, as you might imagine, is a little bit resentful, and they have to kind of find their way back to each other. So, like I said, that is a 5-star read. Then we go on to Reckless. I ranted about the rodeo stuff in this book. This is a romance, lots of sexy times, smutty, to be honest. And maybe there was a bit too much of that for me. I can handle a few scenes in a romance book, but this had a whole lot of scenes. And I got to the point where I just started, like, when I got to one of those scenes, I just kind of skim my eyes over and go, okay, when is it going to be over? Are we back to the story yet? Here we go. Because there was a lot of that. And that's just my personal taste. I know that some people really love reading that, and if you do, hooray. Okay, it just wasn't like my favorite thing. Overall, I ended up giving this a 3.0. I have to say, I did love how the male main character, like, he really stepped up when he needed to, and I don't want to say why. I think you need to read it to find out. But, like, he was there for a female main character in a myriad of ways that she had never had anyone before. Now, last night when I was in a whole lot of pain and feeling really sad and stuff, my sister-in-law texted me and said thank you again for a birthday present that I had given her while I was there. And I gave her some fuzzy socks that said best sister-in-law ever on the bottom, and like some shower steamers. It was like a silly generic gift and stuff, but she hadn't seen the words on the bottom of the socks when she first opened them. So she texted me to say thank you again for those, and that had me feeling a little bit better. And then after I finished Reckless, I picked up this book. Now, this is a very niche book. This is Once Upon a Time in Carrot Land, my YouTube autobiography, which I definitely wrote all of, by Josh Carrot. Not written by Josh Carrot at all. This is a picture of Josh Carrot. And he is part of the YouTube channels Jolly and Korean Englishman. If you've watched those, I watch Jolly a lot more than I do Korean Englishman, but they're both interesting channels. And Josh and Ollie, I watch Jolly more because these two guys, they're just best friends and they're so funny together. But Ollie wrote this autobiography, we use that word loosely, for his best friend's birthday. Let's see if I can find a picture of the two of them. Okay, so here's a picture of them. So the one in the middle is Josh, that's his wife Gabby on the left, and then Ollie is over to the right. And yeah, they have funny videos where they talk a lot about food and try different food from all over the place. And then on Korean Englishman, they do a lot of like introducing Korean culture and food to other people, whether that be people from England or America, or like they've done celebrity interviews and had them try Korean food. Like they did one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he just started reaching for kimchi and eating it, and he's like, wait, what is this? He didn't even know what it was. Anyway, yeah, those guys. So Ollie and some comedian writers wrote this autobiography for Josh, and just knowing their personality and everything, it was just, it's ridiculous and, like I said, very niche. I'm gonna see, there was one passage I thought about reading out loud to you guys. Finishing university is a tricky point in the life of a young carrot, because although I had been unanimously voted the friendliest graduate in SOAS history, I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. I would lie in bed at night, my mind a-whirl with the big questions of life. Did my future lie in England, China, or Korea? Could I bear to be apart from Ollie again? Do bald people get dandruff? How do you know you know? You know. Are we human or are we dancer? What's love got to do with it? Should I stay or should I go? The clash of options clanged around in my head like a massively symbolic cymbal, and my mind was full of questions and copyright issues. I always say life is a journey and we must pass through life's phases till the day we leave Earth. I don't believe this at all, but I always say it anyway. The good thing about being a student is that there is a routine laid down for you. You go to classes, study, meet friends, play aerial broomstick games, and steal social media platform ideas from your friends. But everything changes the moment you graduate and you wake up on a Monday morning with no idea what to do or how to fill the time on all your digital clocks. It suddenly hits you that in 3 years of world-class education, you never learned how to whittle. You can still only disco dance at an intermediate level. You still don't really know whether eyebrows count as facial hair. It's a lonely time too, even with imaginary vegetable pals to keep you company. All your friends have gone back to their cities or countries and you're not sure when or even if you'll get to see them again. Not the most ridiculous part of the story, I have to say, but it's a good example of just the weird, strange sense of humor. And again, watch their YouTube channels. I love them. They're hilarious. Okay, so as of today, it is the 9th when I'm filming this, and I have read 9 books in July so far. I have 2 in progress. I have an audiobook, Stolen by Lucy Christopher. It's a reread. I'll pop a picture up here for you. It is one that I read years and years ago. It's a YA, but I would say definitely high school or older, just because of the events that happen. We follow a young girl who, she's actually speaking in second person to her kidnapper. She meets him at an airport. He buys her a coffee or a drink of some kind, and we learn that he drugs her, and then he kidnaps her, and they were in London at the airport, and she was supposed to be going to Vietnam with her family, I think. Anyway, he takes her to Australia, to this place way out in the desert in the middle of nowhere where he's built this kind of shelter, and he's just determined to live there on his own, but then he decides he wants company, and he kidnaps this girl, Gemma, and literally in the middle of nowhere, like sand as far as the eye can see. Insane. Don't know why I'm re-listening to it, actually. No, actually I do, because for Summerween we're supposed to listen to a spooky audiobook, and this one isn't so much spooky as it is just terrifying. Like the thought that you never know when something horrifying like this could happen to anybody. So I think that counts. Yeah, my next physical read, I haven't actually started it yet, but this is When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. This is a book that I impulse bought after watching Steph from Steph Loves. Also the one that recommended to me the romance rivalry that I told you about in the last chapter of the vlog. Did I say rivalry? Wow, rivalry. Anyway, When the Wolf Comes Home, Steph said that she loved it so much and she was like crying by the end. I'm going to read to you the back synopsis. One night, Jess, a struggling actress, finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. After a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. As they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father, horrifying incidents of butchery follow them. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but she's about to learn that there's more to these surreal and grisly events than she could ever imagine. And when the wolf finally comes home, no one will be spared. Yeah, so today I am going to be going to the local library, maybe even the one that's just the town over that's like 5 minutes away. And I have two purposes. One, I want to find some quick reads because I have to fit 31 books into this month. So they might be graphic novels, manga, or just short-ish looking books. Maybe some verse novels, who knows. And then both of the libraries do sell used books, so I'll keep an eye out for any that would be good for junk journaling and stuff. So I might take you with me when I go there. We'll just kind of see how it goes. And for now, that's going to be it. So we'll see you back here later. Okay, I have just been to the post office and I got two things. One is an abomination. Back to school flyer, are you kidding me? Gross. Actually, it's kind of a cute catalog. It has classroom decorations. I might take a flip through it. But also, ew. Don't want to think about that. But we have Book of the Month box. So I think I'll open these up because I'm pulled out in front of the library and they're not quite open yet. I have about 7 minutes or so till they open. So, there's also like a bus full of kids, like a little bus. But like I saw kids just piling out of it. They must be doing a summer reading activity or something. Anyway, while we're just sitting here waiting, I should also show you. You see that little house right there? That little white house? So I used to live in that little house, and sorry, I'm gonna have to like sit weird and the camera's gonna be at an angle, but then I don't have to hold the camera while I show you the Book of the Month stuff. So yeah, I used to live in that little house. It's a rental, and I lived there until I bought my house that I live in now. The landlords are really funny. They're just this little old couple and they meant well, but I don't know if I've told you this story or not, but one time it was like a Saturday and I was watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds, and the birds are just attacking the house and all of a sudden I hear bang, bang, bang on my roof. I flipped out. I ran outside and the landlord was up on the roof with a boy from the neighborhood fixing some things, which is fine, but maybe they could have told me they would be up there. It was the worst timing ever. Let's get into the Book of the Month. I have 3 books, and I don't remember which one was the official Book of the Month. We'll just look at all of these 3, and it doesn't matter. So this is You Belong Here by Megan Miranda. I have read a book by her before. I think it was Janie that recommended to me. No, I'm not going to remember which one it was. The Only Survivors. That's what it was. Okay, so this one is described thusly. Beckett Bowery never thought she'd return to Wyatt Valley, a picturesque college town in the Virginia mountains, steeped in tradition. Her roots there were strong. Beckett's parents taught at the college, and she never even imagined studying anywhere else. Until a tragedy during her senior year, it ended with 2 local men dead and her roommate on the run, never to be seen again. The legacy of that fateful night has haunted her small town ever since. Nothing felt safe about home anymore, and for the last 2 decades, Beckett has done her best to keep her distance. Then her daughter Delilah secretly applies to Wyatt College and earns a full scholarship, and Beckett can only hope that her lingering fears are unfounded. But deep down she knows that Wyatt Valley has long memory, and that the past isn't the only dangerous thing in town. Next one we have The Princess Kills Monsters by Rye Herman. The Princess Kills Monsters. The Misadventures of a Fairy Tale Stepsister. Someone wants to murder Princess Melilot. This is sadly normal. Melilot is sick of being ordered to go on dangerous quests by her domineering stepmother, especially since she always winds up needing to be rescued by her more magically talented stepsisters, and now she's been commanded to marry a king she's never met. When hideous spider wolves attack on the journey to meet her husband-to-be, she's once again rescued, but this time by 12 eerily similar-looking masked huntsmen. Soon she has to contend with near-constant attempts on her life, a talking lion that sets bewildering gender tests, and a king who can't recognize his true love when she puts on a pair of trousers. And all the while, she has to fight her growing attraction to not only one of the huntsmen, but also her fiancé's extremely attractive sister. Ooh. If Melilot can't unravel the mysteries and rescue herself from peril, kingdoms will fall, or worse, she could end up married to someone she doesn't love. This seems, just from the synopsis, like it's going to be funny, or at least have some funny parts, so that is exciting. We love a funny adventure. And then our last book in this box is This Spells Love by Kate Robb. Summer is a time to read romances, except for during summer rain, I guess. Let's see. This is supposed to be friends to lovers, and it says when Gemma gets dumped by her long-term boyfriend, she reacts the way any reasonable 28-year-old would, by getting drunk with her sister, her kooky aunt, and her best friend Dax. After one too many margaritas, they decide to perform a love-cleansing spell that promises to erase Gemma's ex from her memory. They follow all the directions, including a platonic kiss from Dax, to seal the deal. Waking up the next morning, Gemma realizes that the silly spell has worked far too well. Not only does it seem that she never dated her ex, but the rest of her life is completely unrecognizable. The worst part, Dax has no idea who she is. Oh no. To reverse the spell and get back to her old life, Gemma must convince her once best friend, now total stranger, to kiss her. But as she carries out her plan, she finds herself falling for Dax hard. Soon Gemma begins to wonder whether she even wants to go back to the way things once were. What if Dax was the one all along? That also sounds like it might have some funny bits in it as well. So, yeah. It is time for the library to open, so I'm going to go ahead and head on in, and we'll see what we can find there. Okay, we're sitting at the weird angle again, but we are now parked outside a second library. So at the first library, sorry I didn't show you a few before. This is a free verse novel, so it's going to be a quick read. It is called Glimpse by Carol Lynch Williams. I have never read from this author before. This is blurbed by Tim Wynne-Jones as an edge-of-the-seat thriller written in sharp, glinting shards of words. Fantastic. The blurb says, just a year apart, the Chapman girls were as close as sisters could be. Hope could always count on Lizzie, and Lizzie could always count on Hope, always. But even sisters have secrets, big secrets. And if Lizzie has her way, she'll take the biggest secret of all to her grave. With Lizzie in lockdown, can Hope discover the truth and save her sister, or is it already too late? Okay. And then I got 3 graphic novel Shakespeare adaptation. So we have Macbeth, Hamlet, and Julius Caesar. And yeah, we found some good quick reads. So we're parked outside the other library. This is like, I don't know exactly how many miles, but like a 5-minute drive. So this is in a town right next to mine. It's kind of silly that we're not all one town, to be honest, but their library is gorgeous. And apparently they're having a great big book sale. So we're going to go see what's inside, and hopefully find something good. I think I found a better angle. All right, so we've been into that library. The town I'm in is called Lyman, by the way. I don't know if I said that before. They are our bitter rivals at my school. We found a few things. So we will start with Shark Life. I got this for the photos that are in the middle. We can cut those out and use them in the Sharkathon junk journal. There's a whale shark in here. Okay, so there's a guy diving with a whale shark. There are also some white sharks and giant manta ray and different things. So I probably won't use all the pictures, but there are some that I can fussy cut and add in there or something for some fun little accents. And these were all book sale books. I didn't check anything out officially. The next two books are ones that I already have copies of and have read, but I couldn't leave them there. And this one especially could be interesting, like collage fodder and stuff for junk journals. This is Ain't Burned All the Bright by Jason Reynolds. It's a really heavy book. And it's loads of art in here, just tons of art. So that could be fun to work with. The other book that I already have, this one, I could not leave it there. This is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. This is somebody's copy that their granny gave them. There's a little inscription to someone named Tyler from their granny, and they gave it away. But it's a beautiful book. It also is full of art, and it could be converted into a junk journal if I can bear to cut it up. I don't know. The next one I got is a paperback book for my classroom library. This is Res Ball, and it is, you can see there, multiple award winner. It is by Byron Graves, and sports books my kids like, so yay for that. We also got a Reader's Digest bind up, and there were several there. This is the only one that had an interesting cover on it though. This has this beautiful pattern here. The other ones were just kind of plain colors and I didn't really want them. And then the last thing is not a book at all. It's a VHS tape. Do I have a VCR that works? No. Why on earth did I buy this then? Wait till you see what it is. It's The Wizard of Oz. So we have some things here that could be used in a Wizard of Oz journal. We've got the cover of this VHS. There's an anniversary booklet in here. Information and pictures and things from the Wizard of Oz. And We also have some things that could be fussy cut out of the VCR case. Then there's another booklet in here, like a little pamphlet you can, while I'm here in Lyman, I'm going to run over to the soda station. They make like specialty drinks with mix-ins and stuff. And they make one called the Wizard that's kind of like the butterbeer kind of thing. They make one that has Dr. Pepper with raspberry in it and stuff. Actually, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't go there because the last time I went there, I got really sick to my stomach. And I think it was maybe the coconut cream that they put in the sodas. I might have to just stick with my Diet Dr. Pepper. I hadn't thought of that. I'm glad I remembered before I went over there. I might run to Maverick, though, just to get like a really nice cold fountain drink of Dr. Pepper, because now I'm like craving like an icy cold soda. Anyway, I'll see you the next time I check in with more reading stuff, I guess. Hey again. So I'm back in the office. It's quite late at night on Wednesday. After I got home from my little journey, the rest of my day is pretty much taken up with trying to catch up on crafting videos on YouTube, from while I was gone, because I have a hard time watching crafting videos while I'm away from home. So anyway, I was watching a whole bunch of Janie, from the Crafting Bookworms videos today and reading, and I got through this entire book. It's less than 300 pages, so it's not that surprising. I read and watch things at the same time. I just do. That's I always say I have a two-track brain. Anyway, I haven't run this through Compile yet. It's late at night. I need to go to bed pretty soon. But the real reason I haven't run it through Compile yet is not because it's late, but because I need to process my thoughts about this. Holy cow. So I read you the synopsis, and we learned that this is about Jess, who is a struggling actress, and she comes across a young boy dealing with, he's hiding from his father, and like, there's so much that I can't tell you because you just need to experience this book for yourselves. If you want to know just what the plot is without like actually reading it, there is a video that I haven't watched yet. I'm going to watch it now that I've read the book. Steph from Steph Loves, Gavin from Gavin Reads It All, and I forget the third person, but I've got it saved on my watch later videos. I will link the video down below, and it's their chat like after they have read this book. Maybe I need to like watch their video to help me like process through my thoughts and stuff about it. There's a whole lot in here, and I will say, just as kind of a caution, tons of violence. Tons of violence. There are some things that at first you're like, wait, what? That came out of left field. And then the pieces start to kind of fit together. There were a couple of times when I had to stop and like talk to myself out loud and go, okay, is this what's going on? Is it this? What's happening? Is it this? And gosh, I wish I could tell you more. I just can't, because I don't want to spoil it for you, but let me process some thoughts, and then when I come back in the morning and check in with you, maybe I'll have some more coherent things to say about the book itself. But would I recommend it? Yes, absolutely. And again, I'll link that discussion video in the space below for you. Yeah, but for now, I think I'm just going to go to bed. Tomorrow, I would like to do something a little bit more active, either some cleaning in my house or some crafting or both. But I have quite a few audiobooks. I am still listening to Stolen. I'm about 63% through that one. And then I have, I think, 4 others checked out through Libby and a couple on hold. So I'm not hurting for audiobooks for sure. And while it's still Summerween, I'd like to get at least one more spooky or scary book during that time. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I think that's all for this particular moment in the vlog. We'll see you later. Good morning. It's Thursday morning, and I've got some kiddos coming over to mow the lawn pretty soon, so I want to film this update before they're here, and we've got all kinds of noise. You can probably already hear the beep, beep, beep of some truck. Anyway, so let's come back to this, when the wolf comes home. I feel like I've done a horrible job of telling you what this is about. I did read you the synopsis. I talked to you about Jess, and she finds this little boy who's 5, and I can tell you that everything from the synopsis happens very, very quickly. And so the rest of the book, we're scrambling to try to figure out what is going on. And because I know there are going to be at least a couple people who are like, just tell me like what the thing is. I can't do it. I can't. So here's what I'll say. I ran it through Copile this morning. 5 stars. Any book that makes me think this much and like really have to process it, I know it's going to stay with me for a while. And in Copile, it had not perfect scores, but like really dang close. And yeah, 5 stars for sure. On my Goodreads review, I wrote something like, I really want to blurt out all my thoughts here, but I can't because I don't want to spoil it. So just go read this book. So adult horror, super violent. Okay, let me make that clear. But holy cow, is it going to make you think about things. And I will say that some of the themes that it touches on are fatherhood and fear. So there we go. I feel like I need to move on because, as I said, I got kids coming to mow, and yeah, it's going to get noisy here. And I've got a couple things I need to do within this little update, or want to do. So, as far as physical reading, I did say I wanted to do something more active today, and I am going to, but I have something that's part of my routine called chair time. And I have a checklist of things to do every day, and I make myself do chair time. And what that is I get to go sit in my recliner and just veg for a little bit. If that's watching like trash TV, like Bachelor in Paradise or something like that, or something, it could be for a half an hour, it could be for a couple of hours. It depends on what I need that day, but I need to give myself permission to just kind of whew. But sometimes I will read during that time. And I thought, I got these Shakespeare graphic novels here. I'll grab one. Maybe I'll power through all 3. Who knows? These, I should correct myself, they are manga editions, not just merely graphic novels. But let's say, for example, Hamlet. Okay, I read the full play of Hamlet not that long ago. I know that this is not going to be the same experience. I know it's not going to be as good as reading the actual Shakespeare play, but it might be a fun way to experience the story. And if the language is approachable enough, this might be a good way for me to share Shakespeare with my students. So we'll kind of see how that goes. The other thing that I want to do while I am in here today is talk a little bit about book shopping. You may have noticed that I haven't done like a visit to a Barnes & Noble in quite a long time, or anything like that. And like since the summer started, I haven't been to a proper bookstore that's like a big bookstore. I've been to a few independent ones when I went to State Rodeo in Idaho, and we talked about that, but I haven't been like what I would like call book shopping, like serious book shopping. Here's the problem. The closest bookstores to me are 2 hours away. Okay. In Salt Lake City. There's one that's a little less than 2 hours in Layton, but if I'm going to drive, I'm going to go to the Salt Lake ones. That's complicated for a couple reasons. One is I'm trying to be really good with my money because I signed up for Barbara's She Who Creates event in September, which I did have enough to cover with my summer bonus. Okay, I'm very, very blessed to work in a school district who gave us a nice summer bonus. However, I'm also trying to like cut corners on my summer spending if possible, without detracting from the things that I want to do, right? Does that make sense? Long story short, so what I've decided to allow myself to do is do a little online book shopping on First Book, which is a discounted book place for teachers. So I know most of you aren't teachers, and I'm sorry, like, there are other discounted book places online, Book Outlet. It used to be Book Depot, Book Depository, what was that called? But it went out of business. I loved that one. There's other ones. So sorry about that. I don't know why my voice is going craggy. It's morning, I guess. Now, you know me, I like to turn things into games. So the other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to grab my bingo roller and I'm going to roll 5 times, and we're going to get the prompts out from the bingo game. And I'm going to use those to help me with my First Book purchases. And so I'll go online, pick out books that follow those prompts, and then when they come in, I'll read them. Depending on how fast their shipping is, they may get to me before July's over, or may not. It kind of depends. So I'll keep you updated on how that goes. But let's hurry and do the bingo rolls, because I'm talking way too much. I've got kids coming to mow, and my battery's gonna die. I've got my bingo roller here. In terms of getting like a bingo on the bingo board, let's count them, right? Why not? Let's throw them in there. But I think what I'll do is I'll roll all 5 and then go find the prompts, just to save battery life and time. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, this is interesting. All of the pulls were yellow or white. So they were from the B column and the N column. That might help in our quest to get a bingo on the board depending on which numbers we picked. All right, here are the prompts. And after I show you the prompts, then I'll get online and start shopping. And then come back and let you know what I picked out. So B4, now I haven't looked at these prompts. I just found the cards and plopped them on the table. So B4 is 2021 release. Ooh. Okay, if I can't find something that came out exactly in 2021, I'll just go for like something as close to that as I can get. Okay. We have B11, Second Chance Author. N32, What's on Libby? Oh, that's not going to work. Okay, we'll have to spin again. So I'm going to spin this. And it gave us another N41. Okay, we'll come back to that card in a second. N38, Fantasy. An N39, audiobook, also not gonna work. So we're gonna have to pull again. We got a blue one. Okay, so we got N41 and G46 that I've got to find cards for. All right, here's hoping these two work. Okay, N41, Goodreads Scroll. We might be able to pull something off with that. And G46, Banned or Challenged. Also might be tricky, but we'll see what we can do. I'll come back to you guys in a little while, and yeah, we'll see how the reading goes. When I left you last, I talked about doing some book shopping online, and I was going to use First Book. So I had rolled the bingo prompts, and when I say I spent over an hour trying to find 2021 titles and second chance author titles, I'm not kidding. Because I wasn't just going to buy a title that was published in 2021. I wanted a book that I actually wanted to read. First Book has a limited stock, and I was stressing myself out so much that my neck started to tense up, and my headache from the other day was coming back in, and I thought, whoa, this is not worth it. What am I doing? So I went over to Book Outlet, and I found not just one book for each prompt, but I found a bunch of books that I wanted. There were some that were outside of the prompts that I thought looked really interesting, and Book Outlet was having the sale of buy 4 get the 5th free. So I could feel myself starting to get like, ooh, let's buy this, buy this. So I gave myself a budget and stuck within my budget. So I will pop pictures up here, and then when the books arrive, I'll show them, I'm sure. So for the first prompt to 2021 release, I have 2 books, Sunkissed by Casey West and Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. For second chance author, I got In Want of a Suspect by Tirza Price. I have read Pride and Premeditation by her before. Let's see. For the fantasy prompt, 2 books there, A Crane Among Wolves by June Herr and Nightweaver by R.M. Gray. N41, The Goodreads Scroll, I got Love, Canter, Action by Katie Gilbert. And then for the Bander Challenge books, unless I wanted to go with like a classic, I couldn't really find much in the way of a Bander Challenge book. And so what I did was I got 1 book that's about banned books, and this book Won't Burn by Samira Ahmed, and then 2 books that I think possibly could potentially be banned in the future, especially in high banning states like Florida and Texas. Okay, so those 2 were The Borrow a Boyfriend Club by Paige Powers, and that has LGBTQ themes, and Medici Heist by Caitlin Schneiderhan, that involves the Pope and the Catholic Church. So I thought maybe for that one, maybe in some place that's really heavy in the Catholic Church, like Boston, for say, maybe they would be upset about something like that. Or with the LGBT thing, there's lots of places that ban those. While I'm thinking about it, because I briefly mentioned Texas, let's please all send prayers and good vibes to those people in Texas that are dealing with the flood, because, oh, it's just been so awful. I don't want to dwell on that, because we're trying to stay positive in this vlog, but you know, send them prayers or good vibes if you're not a prayer person. I was on Facebook and I saw this piece of art that someone had painted these little girls in Camp Mystic t-shirts, which is one of the camps that got hit by the flood, and one of them is being picked up by Jesus, and oh, if I can find it again, I'll put it here for you to see. But that's all we're going to say. We're not going to say any more about that. We're going to get back to the reading stuff. Okay. So, I was going to try the Shakespeare manga, but I just was not vibing with that at the moment. So I grabbed The Peach Rebellion. This is one of my July TBR books, and it is set in the 1940s. We have 2 girls who were best friends as young kids, and now they're back together living in the same small town because the girl who was part of a migrant farmer family, their family has come back to town. Her dad's got a permanent job there. And the chapters, from what it looks like, are going to alternate between the 2 girls. I'm just 2 chapters in, or excuse me, a prologue and a 1 chapter in. So I'm not sure how everything's going to go down yet, but I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of talk about class distinction, you know, socioeconomic status and that kind of thing. And of course, friendships and that kind of stuff. And there's a boy kind of hanging around one of the girls that is really skeevy. And I'm just hoping that she figures out that he is not good before it's too late. So anyway, we'll see how this book goes, and I'll check in with you guys later. Hello, it's Friday. I meant to check in Thursday before I went to bed and didn't. And now that it's Friday, I have another massive headache. It seems to be the week of roller coastering weirdness, because on Wednesday, I think it was, I was very high energy, felt great, and then today has been, kind of like I got smacked upside the head, because, you know, hurts. But anyway, let's talk about reading for the rest of Thursday. I read a couple more chapters in this, but most of my reading was finishing the audiobook of Stolen. I mentioned before it was a reread, and I think I mentioned that I was kind of having a hard time remembering why I liked it so much in the first place, because it is like about a girl getting kidnapped, and she the book is written in second person, so she's saying you to the kidnapper, Ty. Gemma is our main character, and so they're in the Australian outback somewhere, just in the desert, in just crazy conditions. And when I picked up the listening yesterday, I remembered, oh yeah, this is why I like this book. Because toward the second half of the book, that the author really starts to mess with your mind. And she did this on purpose. So you probably have heard of Stockholm Syndrome, where victims emotionally bond with their captors. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic emotions, although it can be. It could be like sympathetic emotions or, something. And it's, I think, believed to be like a coping mechanism. Like, if I can see the humanity in this person, then maybe I can get through this, or it could be also a way of like trying to convince the person to let you go or hurt you less, or, that kind of thing. Anyway, what the author does is really clever, because you start to see very human moments with Ty, and see how he is an artist and how he really loves the land and like these good things that he does from time to time. And then you're like, whoa, do I want these two to be together, or do I just want them to be together because I read YA and other romance all the time, and these are the only two characters in the book, so they're the only options for each other? Like, what's going on? And it really messes with you. And I saw on the author's website, she has like a FAQ page, and there's a question: does Gemma have Stockholm Syndrome, or does she really have genuine feelings for Ty? And her answer is, that's up for the reader to decide. So she's done this on purpose to like play with your brain. The other thing I looked at while looking at the author's website is that there is a sequel, which I had no idea. The sequel is called Release, and I have found it on Kindle. So I'm probably going to read that at some point soon, because I want to read it while the first one's still fresh in my mind. Apparently in the sequel, Gemma has kind of built a new life for herself. She's even changed her name, and it's kind of like her dealing with the aftermath of everything that happened. So we know Sheldon, the shark. He's been in my library for a while, but we have had a new shark friend arrive. Ta-da-da! Have a beautiful shark light, and this shark can change colors. And I have this remote here, and I'm not getting a good, there we go. Ooh, now he's different colors. Da-da-da. So, I need you guys' help deciding on a name for this guy. What shall our new shark be named? Comment below. I will probably also ask in the next Sharkathon video when I talk about my TBR and stuff. So, anyway. Shark. So, confession, I had a little bit of a nap. When I went to bed last night, I took some PM pain pills, and I usually only take one, and I took two last night because my back was extra sore, and so I think that's why I'm still a little bit loopy. Maybe that's even led to headache issues, I don't know. But I was super sleepy when I got up this morning, so I had a little snooze for a while in my chair. I am gonna go see if I can do some physical reading. I was gonna maybe head to Rock Springs today or tomorrow. I'll probably head there tomorrow because the National High School Finals Rodeo is in Rock Springs for like a week or more, and it's starting on Sunday, I believe. Or at least contestants have to be there by Sunday, but I know some contestants are already there because on the Facebook page for National High School Rodeo, they said, our first contestant came today from Washington State. And I'm like, holy cow, I better get over there and get my Walmart run done, and I've got to run to Staples, couple things like that before all the madness happens, because before you know it, that town's getting invaded. It's going to get invaded by rodeo people, so that's not really that big of a deal, but still. There are no bookstores there. There used to be one little teeny tiny one, and it went out of business, sadly. And then there was also a Hastings when Hastings was still in business, but that's been gone for years. There's a Goodwill, but I don't really need to do any thrifting, so I think it'll just be like errands and that kind of stuff. Yeah, when you live in the middle of nowhere, you gotta schedule a regular trip to Walmart every once in a while, so yeah. Sorry, that's not a very exciting update. So all that to say, I don't think I'll be taking my camera with me because there won't be much to show you. So yeah, I'll just continue to keep updating you on my reading, and we'll see you in a little while. Hey there, checking in again. It is Friday about midnight, and it's time for me to go lay down in bed. I don't know how well I'm gonna sleep because of the nap I had earlier and stuff, but we'll see how that goes. Cross your fingers for me. So since I last checked in, my day took a little bit of a turn. I mentioned that I needed to go to the town of Rock Springs to go to Staples and Walmart and stuff and just run some errands. And I decided that I just should go today. I was like, might as well go, just get it done. So I was driving on my way there when my sister called and said, hey, I forgot to tell you, Coop is up in a rodeo in Evanston. Now, let's pretend that this space right here, where my hands are where I live. Okay, an hour to the east is Rock Springs, so I was heading that way, right? Evanston is a half an hour this way to the west. So I had to do my errands over here in Rock Springs, then come back home, do a quick change of clothes, grab my camera, and then go to Evanston and watch the rodeo, and then come back home. So it turned into quite a bit of driving for the day. I don't mind because I got to see my nephew. Even though I just saw him about a week ago, I love him so much. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. It's my oldest nephew, and got to go see him compete, and his girlfriend was also there competing, and a couple of his friends. And then also something kind of funny. One of the things that they were doing between events is the rodeo clown, who's in charge of entertainment, he asked for a couple people to come down out of the audience to do an activity and they could win a prize. And next thing you know, two of my students that are brothers running down into the arena, like bolted down there. And they had to spin themselves around a whole bunch of times and then do a funny race, and they were chasing each other and all this stuff. And so I was able to take pictures of them in addition to my nephew and his friends and stuff. So that was kind of fun. And I got to text their mom and say, guess what I just saw? So I'll have to do some editing of rodeo pictures in the morning and stuff because I'm pretty pooped. As far as reading goes, I listened to a little bit, started a new audiobook, and I'll tell you more about that as I get more into it. I just barely started. And then I read the Macbeth manga or graphic novel. I think I want to call it graphic novel even though it says manga edition because it's not in manga format. Anyway, I didn't love it. They did take the words right from Shakespeare, but they cut out a bunch of stuff. And the reason why I thought these would be appealing is to try to get my students interested or become acquainted with the stories from Shakespeare. And none of my students are going to read this. Like, I don't know if I can even get my high school kids to read this because it is direct from Shakespeare. And the words and like my favorite speech from Macbeth was completely cut out, which is a bummer. And I also hated how the characters, like a lot of the times their mouths were drawn really strangely, especially Lady Macbeth and the witches. So pretty much like the female characters. I don't know. I just did not like the art style, did not care for it. Let's see if I can show you. So here is a lady here. Do you see how like her smile, they've drawn it all the way back here? Like, what? No. Yeah, and I just didn't care for the way this was done. I think if you're gonna do a graphic novel or manga, whatever, of Shakespeare, you either need to have a really appealing art style, or you need to revise the text so it's not as difficult to understand, or both. ideally both would be great. And there are other series have done that very well. With Shakespeare's plays, I have a graphic novel version of Twelfth Night that I really, really love, and have taught that graphic novel version to 7th graders, and they really enjoyed it. Yeah, I just didn't care for this one. I haven't run it through Copal yet. I'll do that in the morning. My guess is going to come around 2 or 3 stars. The writing will pull the rating up because it's Shakespeare's writing, but yeah, anyway. Those are my random thoughts about that. And yeah, I'll check in a little bit later. Maybe I'll stick in some rodeo pictures for you here. See you in a little bit. Hello. It is Sunday afternoon. I didn't update at all yesterday, Saturday. Sorry about that. So, to catch you up on some reading things. Haven't read any more in the audiobook since I last updated. Haven't listened to that, but I have been reading physically. So I've read volumes 4 and 5 of Zelda Twilight Princess, and I think I liked 4 slightly better than 5, just because of some of the adventures and things that Link is on and things that he's doing. But I still really enjoy this series, and I have volume 6, 7, and 8, so I will probably read them this month, because the mangas, you can go through them a little bit faster, and, you know, it'll help me to get to my 31 goal. So I rated both of those 4 stars, although, like I say, one was slightly higher, but still in the 4-star range. And I am still reading The Peach Rebellion. After I read like the first 2 chapters or so, I was like, I don't know if I'm into this. So then I went and read the Zelda books and the Macbeth manga, and then I came back to it and read quite a bit last night, and then again some today. So I am 123 pages in. Peggy and Ginny Rose, they're taking turns sharing chapters, and it's a little bit hard to keep track of who's who because all the major characters are girls. So Ginny Rose is the poorest character. Her family were migrant farmers until just recently when Dad got a permanent job, and she also got a job in a cannery. So she works on the production line, like way long shifts, only a couple little breaks, and peaches come in that have been harvested, and she has to pick off leaves and stems and like if there's any little rocks that got in or bugs or, you know, whatever, anything that's not just the peach, she has to pick up, and it is miserable for her. Her body's in pain. She gets like peach fuzz coating all up her arms, completely sweats through her clothes, and she only has 2 dresses to begin with, and, you know, that kind of thing. And her parents pull her aside and say, you've been through so much your whole life, and we want you to have something of your own. So while you're still living at home, we'd like you to just give us half of your salary and then keep the rest to save for something for yourself. And she was planning on giving her family all of her money. So she sees this as like it's an amazing gift. And she has kind of decided that what she would like to do, and she hasn't told her family this yet, but what she'd like to do is save enough money to get her baby brothers moved to a proper cemetery, because during the Depression, her 2 baby brothers passed away, and they had to bury them in a ditch, and the mom never even got to see the grave where her sons were buried. They just had to move on to the next place they were working, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to think about that. And she hears about this part of a cemetery called Babyland, which in itself is heartbreaking to think about, like a whole area of a cemetery for babies. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Yeah. And so what she wants to do is get her brothers moved there. But she's still working out how to do that. And then we have Peggy. And so Peggy and Ginny Rose were best friends when they were little kids. And Ginny Rose would come and work on Peggy's father's farm for a while. Like, while her family was moving, their farm was one of the places they had come. Peggy, her family has a little bit more money, but they're still not wealthy. She has this boy that's kind of been chasing after her, and he gives her a ride home one day. She'd been to see her sister, and she had stopped by at a store where her friend Lizette works, who's a little bit more wealthy than her. And Lizette had gone home early, and this boy was there, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you a ride home, Peaches." He calls her Peaches because her family has a peach farm. And the boy immediately, like, when he pulls up to her house, like, puts the moves on her, starts kissing her, tries to unbutton her buttons, and I was immediately like, no, 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 no. But luckily she just told him stop and got out of the car. I think she still likes him though. Like, ugh. She's not seeing the red flags. Probably largely because it's in the 1940s and she's been told that her role is essentially to find someone to marry when she's done with high school. And she's also been told that her brother is going to inherit the entire family farm that she barely gets paid anything for, just a little tiny bit of an allowance. And she and her brother are both upset about that. So I have a feeling that maybe the rebellion from the title is going to be something to do with them rebelling against their parents and stuff. I don't know. This Lizette girl that Peggy had gone to see, she's even wealthier. Her dad's a banker, and he has purchased a foreclosed home in the wealthy part of town. And so they're now going to be moving into this wealthier area because it's better for her dad's image as a banker to live in that part of town. So she can't come and get Peggy rides to school anymore, and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of differentiation of social classes, which, if you think about the time period, post World War II, there were people all over the wealth and poverty line scale. The same is also true today. And a lot of times people think that they don't want their children associating with someone who they see as less than themselves, and, you know, that kind of thing. So there's parental issues involved with them being friends also, which is just dumb. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm getting more invested in the characters. Having said that, though, I'm not, like, I can feel myself wanting to do other things. I'm wanting to go craft. I'm wanting to read something else and stuff. And that's usually a good sign that I'm just not loving the book. I am going to make myself keep reading this evening and see if I can push through more. And maybe I'll get to that point where I'm like, yes, I'm hooked. I'm going to finish this for sure. But yeah, anyway, this is going to be the end of part 2 of our 31 days vlog, because I'm going to just end them on Sundays, I think. And it's Sunday, so I will go get this uploaded and edited for you guys, and go do some more reading, and we'll see you in the next part. Give me a comment down below what you're up to with your reading or in life in general, or if you're not sure what to say, leave me a book emoji, or I was going to say a peach emoji, but no, that means something else. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.